Justin Crumley here with the Cujo Productions channel. Welcome to another edition of Cujo Productions Sports Talk. I'd first like to apologize. This video is a bit late. I was planning on doing this last night, but I had to get Creepypastathon finished. You should go check that out if you haven't already. Plus, I wanted to kind of sit on some of these trades, the ones I'm going to talk about, and think about them, how I feel about them. But I didn't want to wait too long, so I gave it a day, or in one case, a couple days. So here we are. Let's talk about them. Okay, first trade I want to talk about. The New England Patriots have sent Jimmy Garoppolo, backup quarterback for New England, Jimmy Garoppolo to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for a 2018 second-round pick. Wow. This happened a couple nights ago. This is the one I really want to sit on because the Patriots are my favorite team. I am a Patriots fan, so I wasn't really sure how to feel. I was actually really surprised when I heard about it, but I also wasn't, if that makes sense. There have been all kinds of talk about the Pats looking to trade Garoppolo since the beginning of the offseason, this past offseason. But I didn't think they would actually pull the trigger on it at the trade deadline of this year. I thought they would hold on to him because there was all kinds of talk that the Browns were interested, but they couldn't come to a deal. And I thought after that, well, they're going to hold on to him. Then they traded Jacoby Brissett and got Philip Dorsett in return to the Colts. So immediately, I thought for sure there's no way they're trading Garoppolo. And they did for a 2018 second-round pick. It was confirmed today the Patriots have signed Brian Hoyer to a 3-year deal. I'll touch a little bit on that after I get done talking to about Jimmy Garoppolo. San Francisco is getting a quarterback with some experience, not a whole lot. Garoppolo did play, a game and a half last year. Due to Brady's 4-game suspension, he played one full game against Arizona. Then he got injured in week 2 against the Dolphins. So I would say a game and a half. On top of that, he has played here and there when the Patriots are winning, and there's just no reason to take any risks. I think Garoppolo is a good quarterback. I think San Francisco made a good pick here by trading for Garoppolo, especially since they were having so much issues at quarterback this year. They're 0-8. They're one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. It depends what you compare them to when it comes to the Browns. So I think this is a good deal for the 49ers. Now, as for what they should do, I think they should see how it plays out with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think they should hand him a contract immediately, like right now, because you don't know how this is going to work. You have Kyle Shanahan as your head coach, who is good with quarterbacks. We saw that last year with Matt Ryan, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo, I think they'll do some good things with him. I think he'll fit in. I think he'll do pretty well in a system where he's working with a coach that has a history of being good with quarterbacks. They tried the Brian Hoyer experiment, and it didn't work. Hoyer is back in New England, so. For the Patriots, to get a second round pick for him, I think that's the best you were going to get. This is a backup quarterback. You weren't going to get a first round pick for him. Second round pick was probably the best that they were going to do. So I'm not really angry about this. I'm a little concerned, though, because if Brady gets injured, they have Brian Hoyer coming in. And I'm not the biggest fan of Brian Hoyer. He's a career backup. With that said, I think I just kind of answered my own, I think I just kind of added more to my statement on that. Brian Hoyer, being the backup in New England, they signed him to a 3-year deal today. I'm not so sure about 3 years. I think I don't know about that. I don't think they're probably not even paying him that much, so that's not really a concern. My concern is, are they not looking at the future here? Because Tom Brady's 40. He claims he's going to play till he's 45. I don't really think that's going to happen. I mean, I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan in the world, but I really don't think he's going to play till he's 45. I think that's a bit of an over-exaggeration. So Brian Hoyer, I think, is just an insurance policy for the time being. I think that 3-year deal was just so they have a backup quarterback. And Brian Hoyer did get drafted by New England. He does know the system, so I don't think it's a terrible thing that they signed him. I know some people were hoping for Colin Kaepernick, myself included. But I think Kaepernick's kind of busy right now, filing grievance with the NFL, meet with lawyers. So as cool as that would have been, I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm not mad. I'm not going to get angry over it and start protesting or whatever. Not that it's a bad thing if you do, but I just, for me, I didn't think it was going to happen anyway, so I'm not, outraged by it. But as far as Brian Hoyer goes, I think it's a decent option for backup. The guy, to me, is a career backup quarterback. He's never going to be a starter. As far as Brian Hoyer goes, I don't know if he'll last the 3 years on his contract. I do think New England should draft a quarterback in either this upcoming draft or next year to be your future starter, to season him up, kind of like what they were going to do with Jimmy Garoppolo, but Tom Brady ended up playing. And let's be honest here. Back to Jimmy Garoppolo. This is the last year of his rookie contract, and I don't think New England would have been able to work out a deal with him to hold on to him. So trading him at the deadline was probably for the better. You at least get something out of him. You have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2 second-round picks now. Maybe more. Maybe they just have the one. I don't know. I haven't seen the draft board for New England, so I have no information on how many second-round picks they have. I think it's 2, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. So, final thoughts on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. I think it works well for both teams. I think San Francisco gets a good option at quarterback. They have a good coach in Kyle Shanahan, and by good I mean he knows how to work with a quarterback. So I think Garoppolo's in good hands. I think San Francisco has a more competent option at quarterback. Patriots getting a second-round pick is, like I said, that was probably the best thing you were going to get for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo because he's a backup quarterback. Not a career backup quarterback. I do think he's starter material, but let's be real. While he was sitting the bench in New England, no one was going to give him any higher than a second-round pick. So they also get Brian Hoyer. I think that's a decent option. I'm not the biggest fan of Brian Hoyer, but he's a backup quarterback. He's not being brought in to be the starter or anything. He's not going to challenge Brady for the job. So I think this works well for both sides. And, yeah, that's really all I have to say about the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Next up, we're going to talk about the Dolphins sending running back Ajayi to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a 4th-round pick. I believe this is for the 2018 draft. I'm not 100% sure. Wow. This was a pretty big trade. This one I didn't really need to sit on too much. I was just like, wow. The Eagles are arguably the best team in the NFL right now, and the record shows they're 7-1. I think this made them a whole lot better. They already had a good running game. They have LeGarrette Blount, but I think they were looking for something in case Blount, slows down, which not likely. Blount, take it from me, Patriots fan. LeGarrette Blount is a fantastic running back who has a good balance of speed and power, but I think they were looking for someone that can eat up a lot of yards and get them down the field, kind of enhance the run game a bit. Because I don't want to sound like I'm talking down about LeGarrette Blount, but I think Ajayi is a fantastic running back. He'll eat up a lot of yards for you. We saw it last year. He had a breakout year in Miami when God, what's his name? Guy from Houston. Oh God, he kept getting. I just had it and I forgot it. Oh my God, what's his name? Oh God, Arian Foster. There it is, Arian Foster. When Arian Foster retired, they brought him in. I can't believe I forgot his name. Ajayi just absolutely broke out, became an absolute beast on the field. In my opinion, besides LeGarrette Blount, he was the best running back in the AFC East last year. I match him with Blount only because Blount had the most had the most touchdowns for a running back last year, and he also set the franchise record in New England. So while Ajayi had a lot of yards, LeGarrette Blount had touchdowns. But I don't want to talk about like last year. I want to talk about this. So for the Dolphins to only get a fourth rounder for this, it's kind of surprising to me. I thought they would have wanted more than just a fourth round pick, but I guess they wanted to sell. They wanted to load for the future, and the Eagles probably just told them, that's all we're going to give you. And the Dolphins, it was crunch time. The deadline was looming. So I don't know the story behind this. All I know is I was a little surprised that all they got was a fourth rounder. If that's all they asked for, I'm sure the Eagles had no problem matching that. But if I were the Dolphins, I think I would have looked for a little more than a fourth. Maybe try to get like a fifth or a seventh as well. But nonetheless, the Dolphins, they receive a fourth round pick in return. The Eagles don't give up a whole lot, and they get a lot in return. I think Ajayi is going to fit in very well with the Eagles scheme. Like I said, he's a yards eater. He's fast. He's a damn good running back. He's only going to make that team a lot better. And the Eagles are already a very dominant team this year. They're 7-1. Carson Wentz is playing some absolutely fantastic football. And that's all I have to say. I think Ajayi is going to fit in very well, and I think he's going to make that team a whole lot better. In the last trade I want to talk about, the Panthers have sent wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin to the Buffalo Bills for a third-round pick and a seventh-round pick. I believe these are also for the 2018 draft. This one is the one that kind of perplexes me the most. Not that it's like bad or anything for either team, but it just kind of like it has me like with the most questions. The Panthers, let's start with the Panthers. The Panthers are in kind of a weird spot. They're kind of up and down. 1 week they look like the Panthers of a couple years ago, the Super Bowl contending Super Cam-led Panthers. And then the next they just look like crap. They lost to Chicago. Granted, Chicago is also one of those teams that's in a bit of a weird spot. But anyway, the Panthers are in a just a weird spot. I didn't think they would sell at the deadline. But Kelvin Benjamin, I haven't looked at his numbers this year. I know he hasn't like been performing as well as he did his first year in the NFL, his rookie season. I think it's his rookie season. There was like 1 year where he was like a complete standout, and since then he's kind of fallen off a bit. Now we know the Bills. They traded Sammy Watkins in the offseason to the LA Rams. I believe it was the Rams. Maybe it was. I think it was the Eagles and the Rams. It's like a 3-team deal. Anyway, so the Bills they needed a receiver. But Kelvin Benjamin doesn't really like strike me as a must-have at the trade deadline. Not that he's bad, and I mean maybe the change of scenery will do some good for him. As a Patriots fan, it kind of kills me to say this next sentence. I do hope nothing but the best for him in Buffalo, just not against Patriots. But anyway, and the Bills only gave up a third and a seventh round pick. So does this mean the Bills are going all in this year? They're going to try and make a run of the playoffs? I assume so. They aren't rebuilding. The Bills are also in kind of a spot where they're 5-2, I believe. When I last checked their record, they have a decent record. Maybe. I don't know. They're definitely not a bad team. I think they're the only team that can really challenge New England for the AFC East, because let's be real here. The Jets starting to kind of look like the Jets. I mean, granted, they're playing better than I thought they would. And the Dolphins, they're not playing as good as I thought they would. So the Bills realistically are like the best, the next best thing in the AFC East. I think they are the team that's going to challenge New England. And it's still up for grabs because New England hasn't been playing the best football either. Even though they're 6-2, they're in such a weird spot. I do think the Bills can challenge them for the AFC East. Again, kills me to say it. I'm a Patriots fan, so Yeah, but this trade here, it's a little perplexing. Like I said, the Panthers, I didn't think they would look to get rid of some assets, but Devin Funches has been stepping up and becoming a better receiver, a more reliable target for Cam Newton. Meanwhile, Kelvin Benjamin has kind of fallen off since that breakout year. And for the Bills, it's like you gave up a third round pick and a seventh round pick. The seventh round pick isn't really like it's just that's whatever, but the third round pick kind of surprises me, especially when you go back to the last trade. The Eagles only gave up a fourth rounder for, in my opinion, a better player, Ajayi. Granted, different positions can't compare, but for the Bills, it seemed like they were trying to go all in to get a receiver, and the Panthers were like, oh, we'll give you Kelvin Benjamin. Like I said, maybe the change of scenery will do Kelvin Benjamin some good, but I don't know. He just doesn't look like he's the receiver that he was looking to be. Who knows? It's hard to say at this point. It's hard for me to have any kind of opinion other than we'll have to wait and see how it works out. Because I just don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to go. I think the Panthers loading up on draft picks is a good thing because there's definitely some areas of improvement. But another thing that makes no sense is Greg Olsen is still injured. So you gave Cam Newton less targets now because Devin Funches is essentially the only guy. I mean, they got Christian McCaffrey as well. So there's also that, but it's one of those things. It's like it still just kind of perplexes me. It doesn't for either side, either team. I'm a little surprised on both ends, but I do think Carolina did the right thing in some aspects. They did load up on draft picks, and it's always good to have extra draft picks. And for the Bills, they are getting a wide receiver, and Kelvin Benjamin is under contract. I believe until the end of next year. That's when his rookie contract expires, so it's not like the Bills are going to owe him like a ridiculous amount of money or anything. So it's a low risk, potential high reward for the Bills. So it's hard for me to pick who won this trade. I don't like to pick winners in a trade because we don't know how it's going to work out. So all I can say is we'll have to wait and see how this one works. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. What do you think of these trades, any of the three or all three of them? If you want to talk about one in particular or all of them, go nuts in the comment section, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you guys don't know by now, I do have an Instagram account now. The link to that is in the description below, along with all my other social media stuff, so be sure to check all that out. Again, thank you for watching. It really does mean a lot. Have a great day, guys. If you're not having a great day, I hope it gets better. Until next time, I'm Justin Crumley, and this is Cujo Productions, signing out.